Welcome back. This is Rito here with another Terraria Journey's End item showcase. Today we're going to be looking at the new Terragrim sword. It's a different version of the awesome Arkhalis sword. You can see the only thing that's really different about it is that it's got a slightly different color, and if you look up at the top, you can see the sprite is slightly different as well. Another thing to note is that the Terragrim has slightly lower melee damage, and then it's got the same critical strike chance, the same speed, but it has slightly less knockback. So in 1.4, you can no longer obtain the Arkhalis from an Enchanted Sword Shrine, and that's how you obtain the Terragrim now. So you have to go to the Enchanted Sword Shrines, which spawn randomly on some maps, not all maps, and if you find those, you have a chance to find those enchanted swords, but you only have a 1 out of 10 chance to obtain the Terragrim instead of an enchanted sword. So you're going to have to farm up a lot of those if you want to collect the Terragrim. So essentially what they've done is they've done a slight nerf to the Arkhalis by creating the Terragrim. Now the Arkhalis is only obtainable in hard mode from expert mode boss treasure bags. It comes as an addition to the Arkhalis vanity set, but I don't really think that the Arkhalis is going to be a viable weapon for hard mode, so I want to test it out a little bit in this video and see the difference between these two weapons and just how strong they are. With the Terragrim right here, we're doing around 500, 550. And with the Arkhalis, we're getting up to, 600 pretty consistently, kind of the high 500s. So it's around like a 10% damage drop between the Arkhalis and the Terragrim. But other than that, they are very similar. The other thing I wanted to do is compare these to some items that you can get early in hard mode, like the Cutlass, which you can get from the Pirate Invasion, and that does about 470. Mithril Sword, about 300, and the Titanium Sword, about 330. If we rolled each of these swords to legendary, they would be pretty close to the Terragrim and the Arkhalis. But it is interesting to see that you can get in pre-hard mode a weapon that is capable of doing as much damage as some of these early hard mode swords. Now let's go ahead and summon a few bosses. Let's summon the King Slime first of all and see how this goes. We have to be so close to it. It's actually kind of tricky to not get hit. Let's go to the other side. Maybe kill some of these slimes. Yeah, you gotta kind of be pretty careful here. Luckily we've got some good defense. More than you'd have, of course, if you were doing this right at the start of the game. It does some pretty crazy good damage, but it's a bit tricky to get this close to some bosses. Let's go ahead and try this out on the Eye of Cthulhu. You kind of have to do a little bit of tanking or be very good at staying right on the boss. I know that it's really good for the second phase though, especially when it's charging you, because you can really land some quick hits. Okay, there we go. We got the Eye of Cthulhu down. And let's apply all of our buffs and see how this can do against something like the Mechanical Worm. Okay, so let's start hitting the Destroyer and see if we can get some good damage. Ooh, this is pretty rough. There's so many enemies. Okay, so we're doing some damage here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is rough. That did not work out. I ended up switching to the Zenith to kill the Destroyer because we were not getting nearly enough damage with the Arkhalis for how much damage it was doing to us. I thought it was actually going to do quite a bit better than it did there, especially with solar armor and some endgame accessories and everything. I don't really think the Arkhalis is going to be that useful in hard mode, especially against bosses. Against enemies, it can still do pretty well. And it's still, somewhat viable if you're just exploring and killing enemies. But really, you're going to find weapons that outclass it and give you extra range. Another cool thing about the Terragrim and the Arkhalis is that they're a reference to the Castlevania Symphony of the Night game. There's a weapon called the Chrysogrim, which looks just like this, has that same cool effect. The attack goes out a bit farther on the character in the Symphony of the Night game, It would have been nice, in my opinion, if they had done a buff to the Arkhalis, like maybe make the attack a little bit larger and buff the damage a little bit, since it's now dropped in hard mode. That would be pretty sweet. Maybe they'll add that in a future update. And that concludes our showcase of the new Terragrim sword. It is so familiar and so similar to the Arkhalis. It's just a little bit less strong, and it's obtained in the exact same way as the Arkhalis was before. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. I also do lots of other Terraria 1.4 content like item showcases, and I'm also doing a Master Mode Let's Play series. So be sure to check those out if you're interested. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.